What is up, y'all? It's me, Daria, and we are here for week 3 of the MBC. This week we are up against who? Andy Mantransby. Necrozma? I don't know. He has an Necrozma in the logo, but I don't think that's the name of the team. I think it's just Mantrain City. It's probably like a football or soccer reference that's just over my head, but I digress. This week we are up against who, and who is one of probably the top stall players in Gen 9. And I missed that memo when I was team building. So we wound up having a very long, boring stally battle. So not gonna make y'all sit through that. I do have the video footage, but we are going to do something a little different this week. I'm gonna kind of post-com the battle while I also give you my little space facts. We're gonna do it during the battle, just try and keep things interesting. So we are currently sitting 1-1 in the Malice division, which puts us at 4th with our +3 differential. So we're in pretty good shape right now. And who is 2-0? So this would be a really, really good win for us. So we'll go ahead and switch over to the battle. Alright, so we're back here for the battle. Sorry, no team builder this week. It's just like it's already going to be such a long video because of the battle that I just didn't want to try and squeeze all that in. Okay, so right at the bat, we see that he has Bundle, Gliscor, Terra Zarude, which was Terra Ghost, along with Fable, Goldango, and Cyclozar. We are trying to go ahead and lead with our Choice Scarf Dragapult into this team, expecting maybe like probably like a Gliscor or a Bundle lead. Is I think what we're most likely expecting. It could also be like Terra Zarude. Either way, we lead with Dragapult and immediately threaten whatever out there. So we just like Dragapult as a nice aggressive lead here. We are rocking double Scarfers this week because Trailblaze Zarude gave me absolute fits in mocks. I didn't win a single mock, not a single one. I think I did 5 mocks to prep for this battle and didn't win a single one of them. Because offensive Zarude was just a nightmare for me to deal with. So I needed double Scarf so I could I could guarantee that I could take out a +1 speed Zarude. I also had Healing Wish on the Enamorous, so that was like a little bit of like a piece of tech that we can save for later to try and keep some of our main win cons healthy. Main win cons looking at like Dragapult or Heavy Duty Boots, Terra Frostmoth, or our Quaquaval, which is also a potential. So being able to try and break one of those like mid game to early game and then heal with our Enamorous was kind of like how we figured we would win this game. We see off the lead, they stay in and click flip turn, which tells me that it could be either like Specs or it's probably like Specs or Scarf. Although I guess it could technically be like Boots, but that's just not what I was expecting. In fact, I think what I was leaning towards in the battle was that the Scarf, otherwise he wouldn't have left it out with flip turn. But I do go into this into Frostmoth as he goes into Zarude. Zarude always threatens me out because it just does 1,000,000 damage to me, so I can't stay out here. So I decide that Enamorous is here specifically to switch in. If he clicks Trailblaze here, then I outspeed and I can get a move blast off. Pretty much that is always going to be our best play because he either doesn't Terra and it's super effective and does a ton of damage, or he Terras and it still gets a good chunk and then we can finish him off with Dragapult. So that was kind of my thought with this. Going into this, immediately make sure we can at least 2-hit kill this thing. We immediately Terras, shows us the Terra Ghost Zarude hat. Very spooky monkey. Very, very spooky. We're going to knock off, do a little bit of damage, and knock off our Choice Scarf, which is the truly annoying thing, because now if he wants to Trailblaze, he is going to outspeed us. But we do get some important information from that knockoff damage, and now we know based off the damage that this has no attack investment. So it's likely not a choice item, and it could be like bulk. It could be like a very bulky setup Zarude with like sword stance or bulk up. Still not really sure. All we know is he clicked knockoff. So I think at this point we're just like, all right, well we're faster, so we just click Moonblast and get damage on this or whatever switches in. Goes into Gliscor. We get some decent chip on this. We do see the Toxic Orb pop, and we also now know that this is specially invested Gliscor. So after much deliberation, we do decide to go into Iron Treads here. There's just like no way he's going to click EQ into an Amorous. If he does protect, we can threaten him with an Ice Spinner on the following turn. But instead he clicks Toxic Spikes. So now T-Spikes are up, which is not great for my team. We forewent removal for this battle. We did not bring removal. We did not bring Defog or Rapid Spin. So now I'm like, shit, okay, well he's got Spikes up. Do I need to get Stealth Rocks up now? Or do I need to go for damage and just Ice Spinner? So I'm really like unsure what to do. But I do finally decide to click Ice Spinner. In hindsight, probably not the play there because he never leaves that in. He never leaves that in when he can just go into this for free. Or he probably expects me to spin, right? So he's going to block the spin. And I could have even predicted that. And originally I had knockoff on this Expert Belt Iron Treads, which was meant specifically to break and prevent us from being stalled out. But I was convinced to run Stealth Rocks instead of knockoff. So since I didn't bring knockoff, I literally should have always clicked Stealth Rocks there. It was just really silly. I should have always clicked Stealth Rocks there. Like, that's why I brought it. And I just really wanted, I didn't want to click rocks, and then he clicked EQ, and like just me taking a ton of damage on treads. I just really didn't want that, so I just clicked the attacking move, which wasn't the right play. I should have always clicked rocks there. And this is like the first place where we kind of misstep in this battle. So we go back into this. You see me go into this twice now on the Zarude. He clicks U-turn, so now we have seen knockoff and U-turn. We know he has no attack investment, so this thing's starting to look like it might just be like a really bulky momentum Pokemon that can also threaten my more frail Pokemon, my more frail threats. So in comes Clefable, our previous Moonchild, which he named Mooncakes. And we can't really do much to this. I mean, we could click Sludge Bomb, which could give us some information. In fact, I do think that's what I do here. I decided to click Sludge Bomb just to kind of gauge what kind of Clefable we're up against here. We do get the poison, which is really good for us, but we also see that it's very specially bulky as he gets up Stealth Rocks. So now Rocks and T-Spikes are up to stay, which are really bad for my team, which does not currently have hazard removal. I had a U-turning, stun sporing, defogging, ice beaming Frostmoth originally for this match, and then I wound up switching it to Quiver Dance to give me more breaking power. But in hindsight, I do wish I would have brought the defog because the hazards were really difficult to deal with in this battle. Oh, also important, we see the Clefable take Poison Jet, so we know that it's not Magic Guard, we know that it's unaware. Which means I can't rely on Quiver Dancing Frostmoth to break through. I do decide to go ahead and take my opportunity out here because these hazards on my side are now going to be a huge problem, and I just need to do some way to kind of equalize the playing field a little bit. And we get the rocks up. I really want to click Ice Spinner here again, for obvious reasons. But what I decided to do is go with a more middle ground play, and I click Heavy Slam, which is good because that's going to do a little bit more damage to the Zaru. While we have Perseverance on the field, I'll go ahead and reveal that the space facts that we're going to be sharing during this battle are actually about Mars. Because Perseverance, if you didn't know, is named after the Mars rover, Perseverance, that is currently exploring Mars. We are still getting lots of very interesting pieces of data and information about the planet, so I figured this would just be a good time to just talk about Mars, because as you can see, this is just going to be us kind of going back and forth, me trying to spell out his synthesis. Okay, so Mars, if you didn't know, has had 6 successful rovers. There have been dozens and dozens of different types of contraptions that Earth and other countries have just launched at Mars, but there have only been 6 successful landing rovers. Those are the Sojourner, which landed in 1987, the Spirit of 2004, Opportunity in 2004, Curiosity in 2012, which is still active, Perseverance in 2021, which is still active, and Zhurong, which is active in 2021 by China. So currently there are two additional rovers or like drone type objects that are being prepared to be launched. The European Space Agency is projected to actually launch a rover in 2028. It was supposed to launch sooner, but due to some controversy, they wound up tabling that and pushing it back. Here we see Nebula getting knocked off once again. After I decide I'm not getting enough damage on this thing after clicking Heavy Slam a bunch. But anyways, the ESA launching a rover in 2028 to Mars, so that's pretty cool. And then also India and Russia are working on sending a drone, like a recon drone, like what you'd see like the military use, to Mars, so it can just orbit and surveil Mars that way. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, back to the battle. So he decided to swap out, go into Goldango on my Moonblast here. It eats it pretty well, but we do get some damage. We also see it go ahead and take some Stealth Rocks, and we're just gonna go ahead and click Earth Power here. I want to, I probably should have went for a, a pivot here to kind of scout, because this does wind up revealing that it's Scarf, which tells me a lot of things. It's probably Trick, which means like I'm not really going to be able to rely on a Quiver Dancing Frostmoth. But I am Terra Dark, and he has to respect that. So going into Europa here is an option. He can't really do any damage to me. We know that he's locked in to Shadow Ball, so like it is an opportunity for me to set up. But if he decides to pivot out and come back in, because I'm not going to be able to do any damage to the Clefable anyways, right? Like clicking Quiver Dance doesn't really do much for me. So I go into this. He knows he's locked in, he can't do much to me, and I'm Terra Dark, so he's got to respect that. And here's where I actually think I misplay again. Now, I know that is unaware Clefable, and I know he can't stay in. So my play here, I think, was always to Ice Beam, because he almost certainly always goes Clefable, but instead I click Quiver Dance for some reason. So we do see him go into Clefable here. Huge misplay on my part. If I would have just clicked Ice Beam here, if I would have just clicked Ice Beam on that turn, like this thing would have been in 2-shot range. Because it did take Rock, so we know that this isn't Boot. And then it's also going to take Poison Chip, which is pretty much neutralized from the leftovers, but like it would have been in 2-shot range. And instead here, I'm like looking, and it looks like it's pretty close. It looks like, based off the damage calcs, that there are some rolls where this ice beam can actually kill, and I think that I just have to go for it. So I just click ice beam, try and just snipe this thing. So that's where in like hindsight, because it just holds on and then heals back up, and now we're just like not making any progress. I should have never put this as a quiver dancing set. I should have stuck with the original set, because then I always pretty much just U-turn there, right? And that gives me momentum. And then I could have went into like Iron Treads there, or I could have just clicked Ice Beam twice and killed the Clefable. So it just, having Quiver Dance and going into what was almost certainly going to be an unaware Clefable was not very good on my part, in hindsight. So we go into Perseverance, we get our Expert Belt knocked off, which isn't the end of the world, because this thing can still break if we need it to. Like, they still have to switch out, because I've revealed Heavy Slam. Which means I can expect the Zarut to come back, like almost certainly, right? Like, can't leave this out where he loses Mooncakes and then he becomes vulnerable to a Quiver Dancing Frost Mob. So that's not an option for him. So he does switch out. He sees Zarut coming back in. It looks like it's close to a 2-hit kill. It actually is way closer than I expected it to be. And we do outspeed this thing. So I'm hoping that there's a chance I could get like high roll here and finally get rid of this fucking Zarud. Because then once this Zarud goes down, I can win this game, right? I just need to break through this annoying Zarud, and then I can win. So I decided to just click Earthquake again. And he hangs on, and heals right back up. So here we are back in this position again. So let's talk about Mars a little bit. So just some basic facts about Mars before we start diving into like the rovers and what the rovers have discovered that I found interesting. So Mars has a very, very thin atmosphere. It's air, it's atmosphere, like the air is full of carbon dioxide, which is actually like not that big of a deal. And let's talk about why. So we have an instrument on Perseverance, which is called Moxie. And what Moxie does is it actually converts carbon dioxide in the atmosphere into breathable oxygen. Now, Perseverance has only been on Mars for 3 years, but in that time, it's been able to make 122 grams of oxygen. That's enough breathable air for about 6 hours of like an average type of person just kind of chilling and hanging out, you know, not putting in too much effort, and just kind of vibing out and just breathing like a normal human. So it's not really that much, but this is just like the size of a car battery. It's very small, and we actually have a full-size version, which is more similar to the size of an actual vehicle, and that has the ability to produce 2 to 3 kilograms of oxygen per hour, which is substantial. Not just because astronauts can breathe that air when they're on Mars in the future, but we can use that to kind of create liquid oxygen, which is something you need in order to create rocket fuel. So the idea is that if we can get a full-sized Moxie machine on Mars, it can create enough oxygen to not only give astronauts air to breathe, but also help refuel ships so they can return to Earth. So I think that's extremely fucking cool. Perseverance also had this cool little like copter drone that would like fly around and like take pictures and videos. Again, I'll get to some of those pictures and videos a little bit later, because those are those are pretty controversial. There have been lots of discussion around some of the pictures taken on Mars. In addition to the atmosphere existing but being kind of thin, Mars actually has seasons. It has 2 permanent polar ice caps as well of pure water that change in size depending on whether it's summer or winter. Summers in Mars can be as warm as 70 degrees, so really nice, really comfortable. But the winters can get as low as negative 225 degrees Celsius. Or, I'm sorry, Fahrenheit. Negative 153 degrees Celsius. So very, very fucking cold. Very, very cold. Although Mars is mostly like a massive desert today, there is evidence that it used to be a lot like Earth with like large bodies of water and flowing rivers. There are these geological formations called outflow channels that many actually believe were made by floods on Mars. And some scientists suggest that these could have also come from glaciers or lava. Anyways, let's return our focus back to the game because I finally switched out of iron treads. I went into Rotom Heat here. I'm just looking, I'm like, we're just not making any progress here. I'm just trying to stall out these synthesis and I just don't think this is working. He's just slowly wearing down my iron treads and I need this to break. So I go into this. He's gotta respect that I could have Will-O-Wisp. So he doesn't want to like stay out against me here. So I actually use this as an opportunity to kind of grab some momentum. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually click Nasty Plot. I thought I clicked Volt Switch on that turn. I've been a fool. I actually Nasty Plot, which is interesting. But that is what I did. So let's see how it pays off. I guess I couldn't really U-turn because whether I Will-O-Wisp or Volt Switch, Blitzcore is always a safe switch in. So I think I was kind of expecting him to go Blitzcore, but instead he actually went into this. On my Nasty Plot, so I actually think I'm in a decent spot here. Now he is going to get to Rapid Spin away my rocks, which I could block with Dragapult, but I am also a little bit afraid that he could click like Draco Meteor or something. That would be very, very bad. Losing Dragapult right now is not an option for me, so I decided to just go ahead and click Volt Switch. If he gets rocks, if he spins away rocks, so be it. I still have Iron Treads, and he could still come out and potentially get rocks up again. So I will just take a +2 Volt Switch, and this will at least let me gauge like what kind of investment this thing has. So he does spin and get rid of my rocks. We get a huge Volt Switch off. That does so much damage, and that kind of tells me that it's not like specially invested anyway. And now that it's +1, I'm kind of faced with a bit of a tricky spot. If it is physical, it could be problematic for Europa. It could do a ton of damage if it just has like Double Edge or something. And I don't really want to take damage on Quaquaval just yet. So I figure I go into Dragon Ball here. Yeah, I'm going to take some Stealth Rock Chip. Yeah, I'm going to get poisoned. But maybe there's a chance that he doesn't think I'm Scarfed and stays in and clicks a Dragon move, and then I can just pick it off. I do. I just fucking raw Draco into a Clefable team. Crazy. Okay, yeah, so he does go Blitzcore here, which, yeah, that makes sense. Draco misses, which really sucks. That would have been really, really good damage on this. It wouldn't have killed it by any means, but it would have been really, really good damage. Instead, it's like full health, and now Dragon Ball has taken a ton of damage. And I have to switch out, right? But I'm thinking that this thing probably clicks like knockoff or something. And I'm trying to figure out like what I'm okay with losing an item, and I think really the only thing I'm okay with losing an item at this point is Quaquaval, because I need boots on Rotom and Frostmoth because of the hazards, and I need them to help me break through stuff, because I am like slowly losing offensive firepower to like break through this team. And I can't go Iron Treads because there's a chance he could click Earthquake here, and I really can't risk that. So ultimately, I do decide that going into Quavel is my best option. It's the only thing I'm okay with losing an item here, and it should be able to tank a EQ okay. This isn't like too invested. We did have a little bit of bulk on this thing. Who ends up U-turning, which is okay. We are taking chip on this that we really just don't want. But here we are, dealing with the consequences of our actions. So now this comes in. We can't stay in. Freeze dry just kills us. We know he's probably just gonna click flip turn, but like there's nothing else I can really do here, right? Like I can't let Quavel go down right now. In hindsight, maybe I should have been a little aggressive, you know, how he's playing this so far, and just clicked like Aqua Step maybe, and like start like getting those metronome boosts. But instead I switch out and give him a chance to get momentum here, which really sucks, because now he just gets to go into Zarude for free again. Obviously I can't leave this thing out, right? It's too especially frail. And I do expect him to probably click knockoff here. So now I'm trying to decide, like, can I let the boots get knocked off? Like, we know he's U-turn, knockoff, and we know he's U-turn, knockoff, synthesis right now. And I do go into Iron Treads here on predicted knockoff. I really don't want anything else to lose its item now if I can prevent it. And we do live the knockoff. And we know we outspeed, so we just go ahead and click Stealth Rock here to just get our rocks up one last time before we are dead and unable to get up hazards anymore. So we get up our rocks. And he clicks knockoff again, killing our Iron Treads, which is very bad for us, because now we're gonna have a harder time breaking through that Clefable. So, like, I have to go into Rotom Heat here. So we'll talk about Mars a little bit, because we kind of got away from it for a little bit. So getting back into talking about Mars. So let's talk about Perseverance some more. So what are some things that Perseverance got? So Perseverance actually got some pretty cool footage of some, like, little tornadoes, like dust busters, you know, like those little, or dirt devils, sorry, they're called dirt devils, not dirt busters. Dirt devils, they're just like little dust tornadoes from like the dust that's all over Mars, because Mars is just covered with this iron oxide dust that is basically just like rust. That's why it looks red. And so, like, essentially Mars is just like a giant rusty ball just floating through space, which is really funny to like think about. I don't know why, maybe it's not. So yeah, we go into Great Default here. Take more chip. He's just slowly wearing us down with his team. And I U-turn. He can't stay out. At least I think he can stay out. He's not gonna stay out on Draco Meteor. He saw me click Draco Meteor last time, right? Like, there's no way he stays out here. He doesn't. He withdraws. He goes into the Screwed, and we U-turn and get a little momentum, I guess. Like, this thing is still incredibly annoying, and I don't really have a way to break through it. So let's talk some more about Mars, right? So another one of the rovers was Curiosity. Curiosity got some interesting pictures as well. It was actually built to investigate like Martian climate and geology. It has actually spent 8 years climbing Mount Sharp and has gotten some breathtaking pictures in the process. Now, there is a section of Mars, and this is where things start to get really spicy and interesting, called the Cydonia. And Cydonia is Maybe you are familiar with face on Mars. I'm sure you've heard of the face on Mars. The face on Mars that turned out to actually just be like a big mountain, basically like a big hill. It does kind of look like a pyramid. It does kind of look like a face. Well, that face was surrounded by a lot of controversy. There were a group of people that started claiming that there was an ancient civilization on Mars that actually sculpted this face hundreds of thousands of years ago. Now, there's no real evidence to support this theory, only conjecture. However, it was so widely believed to be true that people actually started picketing and organizing to protest because they thought the government was keeping information from the general public. For example, at that time, the Mars Observer was launched and was deemed a failed project. But people are saying that it wasn't a failure, and the government's only saying that because they found life and they don't want us to know about it. So people literally started picketing and protesting because they thought the government was keeping information. Oh, and here you actually get to see me. You actually see me get to make a little progress for once. I pain split on this thing. He does spin away my hazards, which is really annoying. But I've nasty plotted now. I'm +2. I can live one hit of whatever he wants to click. And I know that I'm going to finally get my first kill of the game if he stays out. If he could also switch into a Gliscor here, but at +2, this overheat's going to do a ton of damage to him. So he stays out. He clicks Draco Meteor. We live in, and we get this overheat off, which does a ton of damage. It just kills this thing. So we finally get our first kill of the game. I don't even know how far in we are. How far was it? 37 minutes into the battle. Our first kill. Unreal. Oh my goodness. So back to talking about Cydonia, because there are a lot more interesting things to talk about. There are all types of pictures that have come from the various rovers and instruments. We've seen things that look like sarcophagus, we've seen things that look like statues, and we've seen multiple things that look like pyramids. Now, a lot of experts say that us seeing these things is just pareidolia, which is when the human mind sees patterns and recognizable shapes and figures in their heads when they look at an inanimate object. So examples of that are when you look at the front of a car and see a smiling face, or when you look at a cloud and you see a tiger or a lion. That's pareidolia. That's where you're turning something inanimate into something that is recognizable. So they think that's kind of what's going on, and that probably is what's going on. But let's entertain for just a second that these are actually pyramids and they were actually constructed, and that it is from some ancient civilization that used to exist on Mars. These pyramids would have actually been built in a way that mirrors the Pleiades, which is a star cluster in the constellation of Taurus. So shout out to all my other Taurus viewers out there. But yeah, so these structures being built to mirror the Pleiades, that's interesting, right? We've seen that on Earth somewhere. Where have we seen that? Chichen Itza. We've seen it on Chichen Itza. Look at Chichen Itza from the sky. It literally mirrors the Pleiades. Which, first of all, if you don't know anything about Chichen Itza, you should look it up. And if you want to go down this rabbit hole further, look up what makes Chichen Itza mysterious, because things get really, really weird when you take the fact that it is lined up like the Pleiades, and maybe there are pyramids on Mars that look like the Pleiades, and where did all these people in Chichen Itza go? Why did people just vanish? Oh my goodness, were they all abducted and taken to Mars? What's going on? What's happening? Sorry, I'm going a little crazy right now. Anyways, yeah, look up Chichen Itza sometime. Back to the game. Quabble's almost dead now. Basically dead. This is one of the best ways we had of breaking through Clefable, and now it's dead. Basically, I can't really do anything here. I'm outsped. It's just me. Well, I don't outspeed because I got the auto supply, so I do get a little damage off on this thing, but it's not really enough to do anything significant. You could just synthesis here if you wanted to. He does Encore here though, which reveals his fourth and final move on this is Encore. He ran a knockoff U-turn synthesis Encore Zarude. Yeah. I just did not have this up for this battle. I was fully expecting bulk up Trailblaze, Sword Stance Trailblaze, because I went 0-5 against it in mocks. Didn't have this on my bingo card at all. A stall. Although I should have, considering what I was playing. I should have done more research on his game style, his play style. I just wasn't ready for it. Now I do get to come in here and click Shadow Ball because he is in range of Shadow Ball. Finally, it's a roll, I do believe, but he is in range, and he doesn't really have a Shadow Ball switch in, or so I thought. I thought I'd be able to go here. Silly me forgetting about the Glitz Core that is almost completely healthy and very specially defensive. It eats the Shadow Ball, no problem. We do not get the drops, and we just take more chip. Rough. Really rough. By the way, did you know that Mars is the home to the second largest mountain in the solar system? Where I am talking about Olympus Mons. It is, in fact, 3 times taller than Mount Everest. It's fucking massive. Mars also has a massive, like, if you look at Mars, it's got like this massive scar. It looks like someone took like a cosmic knife and just gashed it. And just left this big scar on its face. It's a canyon. It's not a Grand Canyon. It's a canyon that is 3 times larger than the Grand Canyon. So that's massive. I mean, Mars is much smaller than us, so a massive canyon on something that much smaller, it's crazy. The canyon is called the Valles Marineris. I probably butchered the pronunciation of that. I did my best, Joe. Mars also has 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos, which are both very tiny and very fun shapes. Phobos is the larger of the 2 and is very close in orbit to Mars. In fact, it's only 6,000 kilometers away, which compared to how far Earth's moon is kind of crazy. Like Earth's moon is 384,000 kilometers. This moon is only 6,000 kilometers away. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. That's like, we have satellites like that are orbiting us for like corporations that aren't that far away. They're further away than 6,000 kilometers. So like that's very close. Yeah, we also have some very interesting videos of eclipses, the moons eclipsing each other, and solar eclipses as well, which are very, very cool to look at. I will get those up on the screen so y'all can see as well. And then the last thing I wanted to share was just this really, really cool picture that I saw, which was just Earth taken from Mars. And it's just kind of, I mean, check it out. We're all in that picture right there. We're here. This little dot. That's us. Just vibing. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this battle. We got stomped on. It's rough. It's a rough battle. I just didn't come prepared with a good way to break the stall, and very clear here. The end game of this plays out, and basically I'm in a spot where like I know he's Choice Scarf, I know he's Trick, but I have to just hope that he doesn't have Trick. And that's my only hope here, is that he doesn't have Trick, and then I can somehow win with Frostmoth. Maybe I crit the Clefable or something. I think really hard about locking into Terra Blast Dark here, but then what happens? Like, okay, I kill this and then get walled by the Clefable. Like, I either click this to get the kill for differential, or I Quiver Dance once, hoping that he doesn't have Trick, and then maybe I can win that way. So I go for the win here. I click Quiver Dance, even though I know that he almost certainly has Trick. So, we revealed the Terra hat. I thought Terra Dark Frostmoth was pretty cool. How many times have you seen Terra Dark Frostmoth? Not a ton, I'm sure. But it doesn't matter. Doesn't get to do anything. We just get locked in the Quiver Dancing. to go. He does a little bit of a cheeky switch here, and decides to go into the cold table, which it's cheeky, but also I think it was probably his quickest way of breaking through. I mean, he could have broken through with anything because I was stuck locked into Quiver Dance, but he wanted to beat me with cold table. I knew what was up here. I knew what was going on. We're just dancing our way to doom. One Moonblast, not quite enough to do it. He will finish us off on the next Moonblast. But yeah. So, shoutouts to Who. He's playing Unreal. He's 3-0 now, right? So he's doing really, really well. He's got a really good diff too. He just 5-0'd me. This is the worst loss I've had in a while. So I was a little frustrated. I wasn't mad at him, like I know that's his playstyle now, like, but I should have just been more prepped for more Stollies. I just was so sure it'd be Bulk Up or Sword Dance with Trailblaze, because it was just so good to me. I like just didn't have a way to stop it depending on what he teared into, so like whatever. We lost to this, we got stomped on. So you gotta take your lumps, sometimes you just get bodied. And yeah, we will be back for week 4. We are up against A12, who I think is off to a pretty decent start. I know A12 is a pretty skilled team builder and battler, so that'll be a tough one to try and bounce back on, but what we got to do. So I'll catch y'all back for week 4.